车
在车库里面吗？
在车库里面，我要去买一些家具。不错，听点音乐。天气超适合去开山路，
超危险的好不好？
危险，
不成这样。这台车
就136，它尾这有个山路。南家这个车厂老板是南非人，他18、19岁的时候就带着500块来美国自己闯。
18、19岁就带500块，
他500块，他说他口袋就500块美金，自己来闯。然后他那时候，我爸是他把他的车厂做到满。之前是在西雅图厂是小小一间店，然后后来把人家店顶下来，现在做到说Woodinville，他很多不同区块修车。
In half a mile, the destination is on your left. Group 2 Automotive.
好，这是130，你看错。
Arrive.
我来了，干你啊，鸡巴呀！
31575。阿法罗密欧。中出排气很红的，冷气的出风口的上面，这车都没看过，我操！我操！原厂轮毂你看过吗？阿法罗密欧的。这里还有台 H2， 哇，老款的福特。这个车在Le Mans，如果有机会的话，可以带大家去 Le Mans Museum 看一下。没有引擎的，这个空壳。OK，Welcome to Benfun Channel。我们现在要进入第2个环节，这个地方是我们所有的宝马区域，这是一些正常的宝马。如果只看车头的话，有人猜得出它是什么吗？没错，你猜错了。Oh my god！ 我们现在看一下，这个感觉是个武系。这是个635 CSI， 啥车啊 CSI？ 它从这个大头来看的话，很有可能是跟刚刚那个一样。这个也很帅，而且这个颜色好漂亮，这颜色非常的有质感。哦，我不知道这是什么，但这台车是3.0，后面配的是一个单出排气。
老板来了，
老板来了，糟糕了，快跑快跑！老板来了，老板来了。奔驰保时捷底盘件旧车，我们可以看到它确实就会比较零散跟一些灰尘，但是最大欧洲车的特别就是他们这些车子都会有很多个杆子，他们我不太确定，我有点忘记主要怎么念，好像多连杆支撑吗还是什么的，但就是说在每一个位置，这个是刹车油啊，在每一个位置它都是同时有去保护到你的避震、你的 suspensions， 所以它在你的控制跟调校上也会相对比较好。Fiat， 我现在要少讲点话，因为他比我强，不然被他抓到把柄，要不然一会不好杀价。
BMW S52, except this one has 6 individual throttle bodies on it. Those cars all had just single throttle body. So we're building 7 of these engines. So all those sumps up there are for the 7 engines. So 2 or 3 of them have already gone.
我现在要少讲点话，因为他比我强，不然被他抓到把柄，要不然一会不好杀价。是非常有 order 的。
So basically, you know, the block gets prepared by the machine shop. They check the line bore of everything. They, you know, there's a lot of work that go into it. There's a sump baffle that sits in here that keeps the oil, you know, in the sump. There's a reconditioned oil pump, and then there's the water pump that I discussed. Basically, there's the new EMP Stewart water pump that goes on it. The head gets ported. We do stiffer valve springs. We do larger valves, stainless steel valves with 5-angle valve job. A little bit of porting on the intake ports, a little bit of porting on the exhaust side. Harder cams, we put a shrink cam in it, so it's a street track cam. It's not a very like lumpy, you know, cam. It's still a very, you know how we drove it on the street, you drive it normal, but when you get on it, man, the combination of the head work and then the bottom end putting in forged pistons, forged aluminum alloy pistons with a little bit higher compression. The combination of those two just wakes these engines up. So stock, this is 10.5 to 1. That means when the piston goes down, it sucks in a volume of air and fuel coming in through the injectors. When it gets to the bottom, it starts coming up and the valves close. It's taking that volume and it's compressing it 10.5 to 1. When it gets to the top and it's compressed that combustion mixture, it has taken a volume of 10.5 to 1, right? We only raise it from 10.5 to 1 to 11. It's just a half a point. It's not a lot. But you give it that little bit of compression, and a little bit of cam, a little bit of intake port, a little bit of exhaust port, stiffer springs. All those things work together. And now an engine that stock from the factory, these engines are rated at 240 horsepower, right? That's what BMW says. Like this M Roadster, exact same engine. So BMW says the engine has 240 horsepower. But when the power comes, that's at the crank. That's the rating back here at the crank. When that power comes off of the crank, it runs through the gearbox, through the drive shaft, to the differential. There's parasitic loss. Parasitic loss is the engine has to turn the alternator, has to turn the air conditioning pump, it has to turn the water pump, has to turn the oil pump. So all those parasitic draw reduces the power that comes out the back. Plus then spinning the flywheel, the clutch, and the drive shaft, and the differential in the back, that driveline loss also reduces the power. So one of these cars that was rated by the factory at 240 horsepower only makes at the wheels
180.
180. You know, 175, right in that 175, right in that range, 172. That's it. This made 306 at the wheels.
Oh.
Yeah, made 306 at the dyno. Now, to give you an idea of how fantastic that is, when I went to the dyno, right in front of me was an E36 M3, so the later model, right? E46 M3 that has the S54 engine in it. Also 3.2, but the much later race engine. Those cars were rated from the factory at 333 horsepower. At the wheels, those cars make 260, 270. You know, older tired engine, 260, fresh new engine, 270. That's before you tune it.
Yeah.
270 horsepower. This made 306. This made 36 to 46 horsepower more at the wheels than the mighty E46 M3 engine, the S54. So it's quite spectacular. And in fact, the day I went to dyno, the white car that we looked at, in front of me was an S54 that was ready for a rebuild, and they did a ready for tune, and they did a baseline pull on it, and it made 216. You know. So that same day, you know, we got the tune done. It was 306. I was really impressed because a lot of people say, well, this has a single cam adjuster. It's single VANOS. You know, it's not like the S54 that's double VANOS.
Yeah.
It's a single VANOS on just the intake cam. And
his is double VANOS?
Yeah.
Oh.
The 320, the 330 was double VANOS. But you know, these older single VANOS, people are like, man, you know, it's not. Everybody wants an S54, but an S54 engine is expensive. But there it is. You know, these two, we built them identical, same specs, everything. Made 306. I was really impressed, and it's reliable. You know, it's not so high strung, because some people will push the compression ratio super high to get power. We just went half a point.
Yeah.
But I touched everything. You know, we touched compression, cams, porting, you know, all those things, and that just really made a big difference. So we built two of them, put one in the white car. This one is going in the black M3 I have back there. So I'll run them both with the same initial map, the same tuning, just to make sure that this one makes about the same as the other one. They're never going to be identical. You know, this one might be 1 or 2 horsepower more or 1 or 2 horsepower less, but it should be pretty close.
Yeah.
Then what I'll do is I'll put this throttle body setup on it and see if I can get even more. Because right now, that one, I'll show you, it's like this.
Get more air.
Yeah, well, and that extra air doesn't always help you. It's only if you think there's a restriction is it going to help you.
True, Lord, yeah.
You know, I mean, that
Based
engine,
on what your problem is.
that engine can only consume so much air and fuel.
Yeah.
But look at this small single throttle body into this plenum, right? It's
Maybe not enough.
It's maybe not enough.
Yes.
Now, sometimes people that put throttle bodies on, they think automatically they're going to make power because it looks fast, right? It looks cool.
Yeah.
But maybe it doesn't make power. I think there probably is even more horsepower in that motor. So, but first I'll put a normal plenum on with one throttle body, just like the other car. Run it, see how it does, run it in, and then I might play a little bit and put these throttles on. I just put them on this engine to mock it up to show people. But this engine, of the 7 engines, you know, here's one's in the white car, there's one going in the black car, 2 already went to custom cars, there's like 3 more we're building. So.
This is new oil cooling line?
So these cars did not have an engine oil cooler. So what I do with them is I go and I get the engine oil cooler, the oil filter housing from an E46 M3, from the later S54, and I put it on this one. Then you can run 2 lines that go out to an oil cooler down here, and they come back in again.
And how they used to get the oil cool?
The oil just cools by air flowing over the solid.
Wow.
But it's not very efficient. Most modern cars have an oil cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I put them in when we build these motors, you know. And then there's like the rear subframe. So these are your 4 subframe mounts.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll do those in poly because it's okay. But then some of these that come out here, we'll do just rubber. We'll keep a rubber bushing in some places. Yeah, I showed you that. So that has, like, because these cars, they come with this old engine. They come with this 12. So this has 1 cam. It's still 6 cylinders.
Yeah.
But it has 1 cam, has rockers, so it won't rev as high. 1 cam, and it only has 2 valves per cylinder. 1 intake, 1 exhaust. 1 intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust. So it has 6 intake valves, 6 exhaust valves. So it's only a 12 valve. With that, there's 2 cams, and there's 4 valves per cylinder. 2 intake, 2 exhaust valves. So that's why that's 24 valve. So yeah, push this way a little bit, please. Just a little more, Oh, maybe it's right. Just like that's fine. Yeah, so a 325 was. Yeah, we go this way. Did you figure it out, Ed?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, yeah. You got the jump off back and charge for us? Let's plug that in.
I'm gonna do the rest real quick.
Okay. Very strong.
Alright， 各位朋友 ，Welcome to Benfun Channel。简单做一个开场，今天来陪我的好朋友 Eric 来看一下车子啊。今天来到这个神奇的这个神奇车行，然后刚刚电池没电了，会换个电池。这个神奇车行什么车都有，你看到了吗？看到了吗？看到了吗？看到了吗？看到了吗？然后老板也超好的。然后今天要带我们去看一下 Eric 的另外一台新车。然后我们现在马上出发。Hello。
How's it going?
出发！
So this plenum I'll show you real quick. So this is what they call the E36 plenum. It's a little fatter than what these cars come with. So they put these plenums on the 325, but they didn't put them on the M3s.
Okay.
So a popular trade-out is to put this M52 plenum onto an S50 or an S52 engine. So on the white car, I put this plenum on there, but it's still only the single throttle body. And you can see how small this throttle body is. The aperture, it's not a very big aperture. You know, that's really small to feed 3.2 liters. So that's why I take this off and do the 6 throttle bodies. I think will really wake that motor up, you know. This is E36 M3, but they took the
奔驰保时捷底盘件旧车，你会看到它确实就会比较零散跟一些灰尘。但是最大欧洲车的特别就是，他们这些车子都会有很多个杆子，我不太确定，我有点忘记主要怎么念，好像多连杆支撑吗还是什么的。但就是说，在每一个位置，这个是刹车油啊，在每一个位置它都是同时有去保护到你的避震、你的 suspensions， 所以它在你的控制跟调校上也会相对比较好。Fiat。
When you come back, the oil comes in, and when you go back again, it stops. Or when you're on the brakes, you know, it closes.
Alright， 各位朋友 ，Welcome to Ben。